Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the women's singles quarterfinal of Seamaster 2017 ITTF World Tour Korea Open.
뜨거운 박수 부탁드립니다.
Please welcome him.
싱가포르 정지아.
ZENG Jian from Singapore.
나이 20세.
20 years old.
코리아 오픈 13번 시드.
Seeded number 13.
세계 랭킹 25위.
World ranking 25.
2017 태국 오픈 3위.
Semi-final from Thailand Open 2017.
Annyeonghaseyo and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ITTF Seamaster 2017 World Tour Korea Open. Coming to you live from Incheon, Korea. I'm your commentator, Adam Vabro, and that is Miu HIRANO, the most watched player on the planet right now after taking down three powerhouse players, including the Olympic gold medalist from 2016, Ding Ning, last week in the Asian Championships, before taking down Ju Yuling and Chun Mung in the final to become the first non-Chinese Asian champion in quite some time and the first Japanese Asian champion in 20 years. Today with me I have the pleasure of having Romania's former national team player and several-time national champion, now working with ITTF, Yulia Necula. How you doing, Yulia?
Hi Adam, hello again. Very excited to see the result of this match after the last week, great result of HIRANO Miu.
Yeah, and you can see there the top 8 in the world. She's not on the list currently. World rank number 11. Interestingly enough, Hitomi Sato has stepped in front of her. So Hitomi Sato, the defender with long pips on the backhand, has snuck into the top 3 world rankings for Japanese players currently. But Miu HIRANO, depending on how this tournament goes, and especially after last week's tournament, could skyrocket in the world rankings. Nothing beats beating world rank number 1 among others. And we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Miu HIRANO and her game and what happened, how she's really developed as a player, playing in the Chinese Super League, working with her coaches, and now there's a new Japanese women's coach, Mika Baba, who used to be the coach for Ai Fukuhara, taking care of all the women's team. But on the Singaporean side, it's Jian, 20 years old, world rank number 25. She's the 13th seed in the tournament and caused a huge upset yesterday, beating Chung Yi-ching of Chinese Taipei. A pretty big upset, as Chung Yi-ching was one of the top seeds in the tournament. As a matter of fact, in the women's singles, Chung Yi-ching was expected to go quite far. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a bit. So Zheng Jian of Singapore in the red there. Best world ranking was 18. That was last October. She was in the top 20. Miu HIRANO's best world ranking was 9. She was there quite recently for a good amount of time, last year as well. And it's interesting, Japan's actually produced even more young women players that are showing that they're quite threatening. Minami Ando in this tournament uses medium pips on the backhand with sponge and just has some very strange shots and an incredible flat-hitting forehand. She got through everybody she played except Feng Tianwei. And she also beat Mima Ito in the national championships in Japan last year. So Minami Ando was definitely a player to watch. Still a college student, but right now Zheng Jian 4-3 over Chung Yi-ching in the opening round. Beat Nakahata, that's Natsumi Nakahata of Japan. There's coach Hao An Lin, a chopper actually. Used to play long pips chopper for the Shandong provincial team. It's always interesting to see how the the Japanese women right now, they have so much training in their corner. And while Mika Baba is a several-time national champion in Japan, there are a lot of personal coaches that are hired to play with the Japanese women that come from China, men and women. They have their own practice partners. And then again, Miu HIRANO invited to play in the Chinese Super League after showing a very impressive performance. Well, real quickly, our umpire, Kim Young-ju from assistant umpire, Kim Miji, helped me find some lunch just a bit ago. Hope you guys enjoyed your lunch as well. So Yulia, you've been a professional women's player for some time. What are some things you've noticed in the women's game and developments here?
Well, especially I think the spotlight is on Japan right now. Everybody's talking about them. And all of them, they're so fast. I think they learn a lot from China. Most of them, I think they were playing the Chinese Super League. And I think you can see that. Also, they're very hard training. So I think everybody is expecting to see Japan in the World Championship, to see the result, because after last week, now China is not so sure.
Right, I'd say, so just everything you said, I think is absolutely right, except the Chinese Super League. That's extremely rare. HIRANO, one of very few non-Chinese players to play in the Chinese Super League. To be invited to the Chinese Super League is quite flattering, but it's almost a way of saying China needs to study you. There's something, I mean, the service of HIRANO has been puzzling players for some time. Her shovel serve, the inside out, the kick. It's a very Chinese style serve. We see Maharu Yoshimura with a similar delivery. We'll see how ZENG Jian handles the receive game out here and the pace that HIRANO brings right off the bounce. She's so aggressive over the table. And even though she misses this shot, she takes it really early. The timing, I mean, this is Chinese Super League timing. And maybe even faster. Last week in the Asian Championship, she was merciless off the bounce. And once again, but ZENG Jian, I'd say, dictated where that shot came. She was waiting right in the backhand corner to bring it back quickly. You know, for me, HIRANO is sort of like the Fan Zhendong of the women's game right now. Anytime she has an opportunity, she's playing as hard as she can with placement. And there's a great example with that backhand wide. And there's that kicking serve. The topspin makes it jump up into the edge of the racket. You know, the Ding Ning match, many people talking about HIRANO beating Ding Ning. She was down 0-2. She saved, I think, 4 match points. Wow. Look at this angle right off the bounce, so quick. The confidence she has.
She's not the HIRANO that started several years ago, the young 11-year-old.
Yeah, I think I saw a picture of her. She showed me a picture of her and Mima Ito when they were quite young in a bathtub. So they were playing from a very young age together. World Tour Grand Final doubles champions at 14. So HIRANO celebrated her 17th birthday just last week, at the beginning of the Asian Championships. ZENG Jian, 20 years old. So in case you're curious, these two have played once before on the World Tour. The head-to-head goes to ZENG Jian. She won in 2016 in the German Open, 3-1.
I think things have changed since then.
They definitely have. Players are looking around. I think there might have been a service warning. One other thing that you and I talked about earlier, Yulia, is that with the evaluators here for the blue badge umpires, I mean, it's of the utmost importance that they are strict on their calls. They are consistently strict. So we've seen more service calls in this tournament than maybe any tournament I've been to.
Yes, they're very strict with, which can make a player very nervous, especially if he's warned.
And especially if he's faulted, right? I mean, after you lose a point, then it suddenly becomes real. It's like, they've called my bluff, you know. Oh, warning, yeah, I can deal with a warning. When they take a point from you, things get really real.
It's like after the red card, you know? It's kind of same.
So yesterday, HIRANO beat Yang Hoon 4-0. Before that, I saw her play Lin Ye from Singapore. Lin Ye was up 10-8 in game 1, and HIRANO came back to win 4 straight points. So even though she's down, she's definitely not out. Look at this backhand. The power she generates with that, and everything's working together. It's not the same backhand, you know, in the women's game, and you can speak to this more, but backhand to backhand, we're used to seeing a lot of quick, sort of not big stroke shots. But I feel like we're seeing more power now than we used to, Julia.
Yeah, she has a lot of power in the first shot, especially with the backhand, which is not very average in the woman.
Well played right into the body. Jian seems to be inviting the open rally. I mean, the serves have come long almost consistently here. She's very good at using her opponent's placement and sort of catching them off guard, finding the middle, then playing the angles. This time a little bit shorter, the half-long serve to the length of the table. Still manages to hang on to that lead. Outstanding play, several shots there that look like they should have won the rally, and Jian just keeps getting them back. Look at this one more time here. HIRANO right on top of the table, the ball barely coming up before she counters it back. Sometimes, again, timing and placement, not necessarily power, and we know that HIRANO's got both. Ooh, break off the top of the net. Opportunity for HIRANO to pull a Fan Zhendong. Get a roller on the table, around the net, under the net clamp. I think it was Mima Ito we saw earlier this year who dove to the floor at the Junior World Championships or the Junior Tour Finals, maybe against Minnie Su of Hong Kong. There's that backhand again, beautiful.
Wow, that was amazing. Well, I was playing with pimples before, so I couldn't make that shot. The first one, I was never able to do that, so.
And what length were your pimples?
Short pimples.
On the backhand?
Yeah. Old Romanian school.
Old school Romanian. Not this time, top of the net and out. That's the difference between 2 game points and 2 serves at 9-9 from HIRANO. I mean, the serves would have been with HIRANO either way. A little help there from the top of the net. And the net ball coming back doesn't land. The receive game is trouble for everybody against HIRANO. Let's see how Jian handles. Ooh, soft shot played right into the body. Not a lot of pace, but not exactly a push either. Let's see one more time. Sort of a soft opening flip with the forehand from the back of the table.
It was a trick shot.
Indeed it was. Game point to Jian. And this one kicks. I mean, we've talked.
This was a trick, trick service.
That's right, trick for trick. Tit for tat. Bit of shovel. A lot of rotation on that ball low to the net, and it just takes a bend right there, a kick on the second bounce. Again, they are playing with the new balls, a bit harder, slightly grittier, less spin in general, but it bites the table more. Very patient play. HIRANO watches it extra long on that first receive, and neither of those shots were ripping power. This is confidence from the 17-year-old. And now a game point. Seemed like she had the opportunity there. She's made a few big shots from the same position. Jian waiting for the cross-court backhand, though.
They both have problem with the half-long ball. I can see when they're changing the length of the ball.
On the serve? Receiving the serve?
No, while playing. Also while playing. When they change the length, the spin and length.
Ah. You're right, Julia. Bit of change of pace here, bringing in the opponents. It's a very important thing to do, to take your opponent off balance. Sometimes leave it a little bit out in front, but you have to be careful, because if it comes up too high, you're going to lose the point. Zheng Jian's game point. Wow, surprise. This time it's underspin instead of the kicking one. So much variation on that shovel serve with the inside-out spin from Hirano. You see in the Japanese women's program a lot of positive head shakes. The positivity is a big part of the mental game and sort of the psychology. They actually put it out in one of their pamphlets. Wow, once again, when she lands that shot, it doesn't come back. You know, the pamphlet I'm talking about, if you go to the Japan Open, they'll have like the brochure, basically, the program for the event. They talk about the positivity. So win or lose a point, you'll see Hirano just process it, nod her head yes, I understand, and move on. Game point back to Hirano. This time she does it. The backhand sucks Zheng Jian right back into the forehand side of the table to create the opening on the backhand and gets the shot that she wants.
The backhand shot makes a difference and brings the win to Mirano Hill.
Yeah, Miu Hirano here has used her backhand quite well indeed, and it's a clever tactic, I'd say, to play it short to the forehand side. Making sure the breathing is clear there. And have all air passages, getting oxygen to the brain and keeping the muscles loose.
She has a lot of power for the body size she's having. She's so small and thin, but amazing. She's so fast and she has so much power.
Yeah, that's always fascinating to me. We'll talk about that more in a bit. It's also interesting to see a lot of the Japanese women, from Ai Fukuhara to pretty much everyone on the team, working with Mika Baba. And obviously Ai Fukuhara is out right now for, you know, family business, creating a family hopefully. But yeah, with the others, I mean, ice on the back of the neck and the top of the head. We see this with a lot of the Japanese women. The body's going to be hot, right? You've got the blood flowing, the muscles are warm and exercised, but keeping the head cool, the tail of the neck right there. I mean, that's an important place to keep cool for decisions and everything else. So just as she did against Lin Ye, Hirano comes back and steals game one. Looks a little bit tight in the middle. That's a smart play, I'd say, from Zheng Jian, playing it more to the middle of the table. Looked like it hit the hand of Hirano, jammed up a little.
That way Hirano can also not give the ball to crossed.
Right. And this is something I think that comes with experience too, right? These players are playing all the time and they're familiar with combinations, right? What shot will set up the next shot? What will shut down something if you're used to being beaten by wide angles? How to avoid your opponent getting that angular shot. Just amazing. Anytime that backhand comes down on the table, it's just too much power right now.
That's a killer, the backhand killer.
Yeah, we talked about the frame. I mean, Mima Ito's quite small as well, and the amount of power she gets when she hits the ball is amazing. Outstanding play. The wider angles, wider and wider. It's Zheng Jian, though, who's able to bring it back. She had the lead in game one, most of the game. And Miu Hirano finds her way. This is also mental composure, right?
They're very strong mentally. Generally, Japanese players, they're very strong.
Yeah, we see so many young players. I mean, Maki Shiomi, Hina Hayata, Honoka Hashimoto. Just so many. Hitomi Sato.
I'm curious, what age do they start playing? Because they always turn out with 11, 12, 13, 14. So normally, internationally, we start to play with 16, 15, 16, no? In Europe. And they're already World Cup winners.
Yeah, this development that we see, I mean, it seems to be a bit different. Obviously, there are school teams in Japan, but there are more professional women players, full-time professionals, than there are male professionals in Japan. Jun Mizutani's bronze medal at the Olympic Games definitely brought a lot of fame to him and the sport in Japan. But as mentioned earlier today, it's Miu Hirano who's all over the TV, just plastered on the TV throughout Japan right now. Interviews left and right. I mean, you saw the camera crews here following her around. After last week, that's the biggest shock the table tennis world has seen since I can't remember when. I mean, maybe 2010 with Feng Tianwei, Singapore beating China. Once again, the backhand indestructible, unreturnable, so it seems.
This kind of news brings a lot of interest from all around the world to watch the person who beat a Chinese.
And not just one, but the three top world-ranked three of the big four. Liu Shiwen stepped out of the rankings briefly. I think it was in the team event that Liu Shiwen actually won. But yeah, singles, no one could stop Miu Hirano, so many would consider her the favorite to win this tournament. But we see a lot of big tournaments where someone just, you know, I think they say 2 times a year a player is in peak performance, has unusually strong playing. But for Miu Hirano, it doesn't seem to just be a fluke. I mean, she won the Women's World Cup last year in Philadelphia in the US. And she has some very impressive victories. And last week probably collected 3 of her most impressive ever. You can hear the passion, hear the fight. Zheng Jian taking this point with a risky long serve into the body. She escapes the backhand with a risky serve, well placed. Just a little bit more into the middle.
She's trying to take Hirano out of the game. She's trying to distract her a little bit. So I think these changes is helping to achieve that.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, it's super important to constantly be changing your game, especially if something stops working. At this level, players pick up on patterns, they adapt quickly, so you need to keep them chasing at all times.
It seems like she's facing some troubles there in the middle of the body.
And this, for many people, is the Achilles heel, right? Difficult to cover the middle. If you can find your opponent's middle, it's a gold mine. But yeah, she does seem to be a bit shaken. I mean, that ball, that last ball, sometimes, I mean, it doesn't have to be the best ball, but knowing what your opponent has for the follow-up shot puts extra pressure. And on Hirano, she looked like she was under a bit of pressure for that last ball. Clever idea, but Zheng Jian digging deep and has 5 game points to turn things around. I mean, she had a game point in the first game, but this seems like a little bit more insurance out here. Does not want to let this one go. Beautiful receive. And this is actually something I'm interested in talking with you about, but the women's game sort of taking, we see a lot more similarities with the men's game with some of the younger players from a power standpoint, from step around forehands, and even banana flips are taking backhand receives from the forehand side. Well, game 2 goes to Zheng Jian of Singapore, 11-6. A more dominant performance than Miu Hirano's in game 1, dead even. What are your thoughts about the developments in the women's game? What have you noticed, Julia?
Well, first is the power, the strength. I can see the player have more power now. I don't know exactly the change. They are also physically much better than before. I also see now that before it was easier to just control a little bit the ball, but now I can see women, they're moving very well. That's why also the improvement of Japanese. But also for the other Europeans, they are working much more also on their physical part. Because before I knew from my teammates and also another girls in the women, not girls in the world, and they were not working so much on physical as now. Now I can see you have more accent on that.
Right. I mean, a few players come to mind: Sabina Winter, Natalia Partika. I mean, their physical fitness is so impressive. And you know, Natalia Partika earlier this year had some big upsets, a really strong performance. And Sabina Winter at the Women's World Cup coming back against Yang Haun from down 0-3. I mean, if Sabina Winter's short game is as strong as her forehand attack, I mean, she's going to be maybe she could break into the world top 10. We'll see. But yeah, we're definitely seeing more physicality out here, and I think it's great to watch. The speed, but it comes down on the wrong side of the net for HIRANO. ZENG Jian continuing her streak. And even though that serve comes off the table long, enough rotation on it and the pressure of the follow-up attack, HIRANO doesn't have to just make the ball on the table. She has to make it a quality shot to avoid the third ball attack of her opponent. Right into the body, perfect placement again from HIRANO on the forehand side down the line. They've had several exchanges here where the ball comes back quite quickly. But you have to imagine that ZENG Jian's going to have a little bit more trouble covering the middle. HIRANO so forward with that stroke. You could see how low it was, how driven the ball is. And for those of you just tuning in, they're playing with the new ball, the D40 Plus. DHS's new and improved, harder, less cracking ball. And look at this, the angle exiting the side of the table. ZENG Jian's anticipation and use of her opponent's spin is so impressive. What would you do if you were HIRANO?
Well, difficult question, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I will try to maybe not to give her the first chance. I will not let Jian. She's risking, although I can see HIRANO, she is risking a little bit now. So probably what I will do, I will play a little bit shorter if possible, and I will try to give the more spin in the middle, and then I would wide open in the corners.
Let's see if HIRANO pulls that out.
3-4.
A little bit shorter serve indeed. Yeah, HIRANO against Ding Ning was just merciless over the table, so confident when the ball would sit up for even a moment, get an extra inch, centimeter or two on the ball, and she'd go for the attack. And now 2 parallel shots to win the point. Not the easiest shot. It's always nice, you'll see when Xu Xin is warming up with Ma Long or some of the guys, they'll practice the parallel shots in the practice halls and even on the table before the match. HIRANO showing that she's well practiced with that shot on both sides. And mixing it up, breaking the pattern.
At the beginning, she was playing more cross. Now we can see she's trying to play a little bit more parallel, HIRANO.
Once again, that winning backhand from game 1. I can't believe we're already in the 3rd game of this match. I think this is another thing, that both of these players are trying to win the points so quickly. I mean, the average shots in these rallies is much lower than certain other combinations of players we see. But with shots like this, how many rallies can you have? I mean, HIRANO right on top of the table. He's just going for broke on almost everything. But it's very well calculated and practiced. These are not low percentage shots for HIRANO. That's why she's so confident with them.
Looks like she's the one controlling.
And it's been that way for some time. I mean, this game, if I remember correctly, started off for ZENG Jian. And HIRANO's really turned things around for a 4-point lead at the 2nd towel break.
I think ZENG Jian was not so precise as before. And even if she started the ball with not so much quality, so it was easier for Hirano.
Yeah, and that seemed like a little bit of a half decision from Hirano. The ball was a little deeper than most that someone would take for a forehand flip. Parallel followed up with the cross court. And interestingly enough, I think we were talking earlier about how important the forehand flip or flick, depending on where you're from, how important that is in the short game, having the forehand aggressive shot from over the table. Hirano definitely has it. It's just a question of decisions. And there it is, 11-5. We are going back and forth. This is a seesaw and a roller coaster of a match. Hirano steps into the lead 2-1. The scores you'll see right there. After the first game, it's been a blowout back and forth for each player. Wow, Julia.
High quality and high class. I think it's very important now to find, for Jian, it's very important to find an antidote and not letting Hirano do her game, because what she does very well, she starts either parallel and then change crosses, or she starts cross and then changes parallel. So she has a very well position of the ball. She can change very quickly. So the important thing for Jian is to take the initiative and not let her. Otherwise, I think Mirano may be Mirano. I always sorry. Miu Hirano will have an advantage if it's let alone to play by herself.
Yeah, we've seen. I mean, she just changes up the patterns so quickly. It seems like anything is possible. And the Mirano thing, I get it. It's sort of like Bennifer for Jennifer and Ben Affleck, right?
Exactly.
For Angelina. I forget all the other name combinations. All right, so Miu Hirano here up 2-1 with the serve, top of the screen. And just taking the legs out of Zheng Jian gets her chasing it wide to the forehand. I mean, several shots in this rally once again were quality enough to finish the point against most. This ball right off the bounce. Zheng Jian's quite precise with her opening shots, but from off the table, it's a lot of ground for her to cover.
She needs to break the rhythm.
Right, and a lot of this between serve and even receive. I mean, when I think about some of the best receives in the game, Vladimir Samsonov, you never know what the receive's going to be. He can play it short. He uses the long push better than almost anyone I've seen. Backhand back again. Hirano's signature. It's not like she's weak on the forehand side either. I mean, she's quite strong on that forehand. I think developing the backhand, I mean, we're seeing this more and more on both sides of the game. Power from the backhand. When I say both sides, I mean men's and women's. A lot more of the men players are developing backhands than ever before. There's that forehand, the extra spin, digging deep. And I think it was game 2 that we saw Zheng Jian really using her legs. We got to hear some grunts from when she would load it up with extra spin, trying to cover the middle, turn the corner. But Hirano's just so quick to take the first opportunity. Parallel again, it's a surprise. Looked like she would have gone the other way.
She cannot give the spin to the ball. She doesn't have enough time because Hirano is just too fast.
Right, one of the advantages of playing close to the table, getting the first attack. But serve drifts long and Hirano steals the first attack. I mean, she's handcuffing Zheng Jian right now.
You can see also from the body language that Hirano is much more active and aggressive.
There's that forehand flip. You know, that confidence you talk about, that Hirano, the pressure she puts on to really get in early, for many people, it's very uncomfortable to play such a high-pressure game so early in the point. Like, you know you're supposed to do it, but you just can't will yourself to because it doesn't seem like it's a high-percentage shot. Hirano manages to do it so well. And as soon as she gets Sung Jian a step out of the way on the forehand side, brings it back cross-court for the winner. Talking about mixing it up, Julia.
Good service. This is what I was talking about earlier, about breaking the rhythm. So in order to have a chance, she needs to
keep it unpredictable, throw in a fast, long one every once in a while.
You say it better than me.
Clever idea, Zheng Jian breaking the pattern once again and going back parallel here, using a bit of the Hirano magic. We haven't seen that too much. I mean, obviously the safer shot is to play it the length of the table, cross court. A little bit more margin for error for the ball to come down, but it pays off for Zheng Jian. So that was 2 points in a row. Zheng Jian took both of her serves. Not so often that we see that from Hirano, that sort of fading backhand. It's a little side spin brushing shot. And we've got the timeout here on the side of Miu Hirano, Coach Mika Baba.
It looks like Hirano is using more of her backhand, even crossing the middle of the table, even in the, not forehand side, but she crosses a little bit the middle and she uses the backhand also there.
Right, and that last point, definitely, we've seen it. I think this is clever placement from Zheng Jian. I mean, if she can move Hirano, see, when someone gets too comfortable using their backhand, they consider it part of the middle. So then if you play it a little bit more to the forehand side of the middle, suddenly you can get some people taking backhands out of their comfort zone, which is what we saw, it appeared, with Miu Hirano. How's your Japanese, Julia?
I'm learning.
Cool.
Next time, hopefully, we can have a fluent conversation.
Okay, I'll have to practice myself a bit. It's a bit muzikashi for me, difficult.
But as I said in the previous game, it's very interesting to know or understand what the coaches are advising their players in these situations.
We have a very active coach in the corner, Mika Baba, again, legend in Japan, and a very spirited coach. You'll hear her cheering in English for her players. Come on! It's pretty exciting. But the notebooks, too, that's the great mystery, right? People want to know what's in the Japanese players' notebooks when they go to the corner. Wow, Zheng Jian's playing tough right now. Hirano brought the heat, had the placement, and then Zheng Jian hangs in there for one more shot. Look at that ball. Hirano covers the middle, but a quick reaction. Again, when someone chooses to step around on the middle, playing it wide to their forehand, they're just a step behind. So 4 straight points for Zheng Jian of Singapore. My mind starts to race ahead to who could win the tournament. They are in the quarterfinals. Side of the table. Looked like side to me. I don't think, I mean, it definitely hit something, but it seemed pretty clear that it was a side to me. Indeed. Close. She was close to the edge of the table. That's tricky, right? If you're inside the table, it couldn't have hit the side. It'd be very unlikely. But she was just outside. Clever idea. Hirano was trying to hit it behind the momentum of Zheng Jian, who was breaking to the forehand.
The dynamic of the match changed immediately when Zheng Jian started being more aggressive and she broke the rhythm of Hirano.
Right, it forced a timeout. And look at this. 6 points in a row for Zheng Jian from down 3-7. And even the punch doesn't come down. Hirano having a lot of trouble and frustration right now. I mean, when you're Miu Hirano, when you're used to being so on fire, from spin shots to punch shots, it's sort of like you said before, playing with the middle. I mean, when she gets the wrist inside like that and tries to put a little side spin on it, percentages go way down. Back edge of the table, but a beautiful counter, and Zheng Jian takes the game. What was it? 8 points in a row from 3-7 to win 11-7, and now we're tied up at 2 games each.
That shows how a point can change the entire match, or the entire set in this case.
Was there one point in particular that stood out to you as a turning point?
Not really a turning point, but I could say that a change of attitude after at 7-3, 7-4.
Right, I guess it was right around then Zheng Jian took both of her serves from 3-7. And we did see a little bit more risk in her game, a bit more versatility and unpredictability.
Also, she was playing a little more in the middle, and I think Hirano had a little bit problem choosing the right side, either backhand or forehand. So that was making her more unsure in her game, and that's when she could take advantage, where Zheng Jian could take advantage of the game.
Right, and this is why players try to play to the middle so much, that it forces indecision, some hesitation from a player. And it's one of the things Hirano's done best. And last week especially at the Asian Championships, she seemed to have almost no hesitation for what shot to take, which side to use. We've seen her stretching out here a bit, could be a little bit tight, which would add to the slowness, I guess. Not to say that she's slow, but slowing her down a little bit.
Also, we have to say that it's not so easy that to play so many good competition in a row.
Right, many players came off the Asian Championships and seemed a bit tired. I mean, just like a race car in a pit stop, I mean, the human body needs some time to recover. It's why they say athletes need so much sleep. You know, Ai Fukuhara said that she could sleep for, I forgot if she said 20 hours, but that's crazy. And that's like after a flu or something, right?
These kind of tournaments like Asian Games, European Championships, World Championship require a very long preparation. And I'm sure they were maybe spending at least 1 month in advance practicing 6 hours a day.
Right, the pressure is very different on the body when you're playing, and it counts for something big. Wow, once again the backhand, but the angle getting wider and wider. This is a Miu Hirano who's starting this game off with a completely different mindset out here. I mean, she just looks, she lost 8 points in a row last game from up 7-3. Still early in this one, though. Neo speed. I mean, this is the matrix right now for Miu Hirano. When that serve came long, she was already in position, steps around, covers the middle with a good stroke. She seems much more fluid, like her decisions are being made quicker, even if the stroke isn't a big full stroke. Surprised that one got away. Zheng Jian can produce a lot of spin, but Hirano with the first parallel, even though it's only 1 point, you could see the frustration. Yeah, I think that says it all. Now, from a mental maturity standpoint, we talked about how mentally composed Hirano has been. We'll have to see here. Talked about her positivity. She doesn't seem too affected by lost points. But 8 in a row to lose the game, it's tough to ignore.
The most difficult part is to forget the past and think about the future. In table tennis terms, I mean, it's most of the players, they have this problem. If you have lost a set after leading the entire set, then it's hard to focus on the future.
But a beautiful shot like that will definitely help bring some confidence back to your game. What are you thinking, Julia?
But not her, definitely not her. She already is focused about the future and about what she has to do about her game point by point, so she doesn't seem very affected about the lost set.
Yeah. Definitely starting strong here in this game. 5-0, 7-2. A woman on a mission. Right, and you can see a little bit of self-coaching there to get on top of that ball. Sometimes the weight forward, getting the racket up and closed. It's not the first time also that we've seen Jian hit a very spinny backhand into the forehand side that HIRANO's taken long, or at least missed the shot trying to counter.
Let 7-3. Let 7-3.
Now, I don't know if you ever felt this way when you were playing, Julia. 2 lets in a row. I mean, you can get a bit nervous as the server, but it might also break the receiver's concentration a bit. What are your thoughts?
Totally. That makes you crazy when you're playing.
As the receiver or as the server more?
As both, because as a receiver also you're very concentrated and you have your task very well thought and you're ready for something, and then that just breaks a little bit and you're waiting and waiting and may not turn out the way you wanted or expected.
Right. So it was 8-3 a moment ago. That was the lead that HIRANO had last game. This could be another thinking back to the past moment. But not yet. A big point here. I mean, HIRANO just needs to make sure that she takes this game. And with this down the line backhand, look at the wrist, takes the ball. So he gets the racket head nice and low, but still covers the ball. We don't see too many long pushes out of HIRANO. And see the bobblehead move there. I think she was a little bit unhappy with her decision. A little bit of a loose receive. But the deceptive underspin, that contact is so subtle. I think we're seeing more and more players in both the women's and men's game come in with this motion. Outside the ball, it's the side spin that makes it go wide. 11-5, HIRANO. Just like 2 games ago, with another 11-5 win, steps into a 3-2 lead, and Jian of Singapore is chasing now. Could be her final game here, game 6. So Julia, we've talked a lot about the women's game, the developments, Miu HIRANO's mental composure. She seemed to do a good job of making sure that there was no repeat of the game before after being up 8-3. Mentally for you, what did you find the toughest playing in such big matches?
I think in my case, personally, it was many times thinking more about the result than the match itself, than the tactic itself. I think that's very challenging to be able to concentrate on that and not on other things. And she, as you can see, she's really focused into the match, and she just forgot about the previous set. For me, many times it happened to be leading and then to lose, like something, have a short break.
Right, a little bit of catharsis, a moment to sort of get a clean slate.
Yes, many times against many good players I was leading, and then somehow I couldn't manage to reach the end. So that a little bit affected me on the entire performance.
Yeah, we've seen it many times before. I think one of the most heartbreaking ones that must have been difficult was when Junmi Zutani had 10-4 against Xu Xin last year. Lost 8 in a row. Oh, break off the edge, but outstanding backhands. Jian off the table with 2 backhand loops. HIRANO comfortable in the blocking game and a little bit of counter action too. Quick apology there.
Again, that killer backhand.
Yeah, game 1, game 3. I mean, it just seemed like, what are you going to do? You just have to, and as we talked about, Jian was finding the middle quite well, playing it a little more to the forehand side to get HIRANO off balance, out of rhythm. See if we get some more long serves in here.
Sometimes it's frustrating to have a player that will not miss a shot.
Yeah, pretty much always, right? Whoa, haven't seen that receive from HIRANO yet this match, and we've got the timeout here now. But this is that receive. I feel like Mima Ito does that a lot. Simone Gauzy does that a lot, where you turn. I think they call it the strawberry. You come around the outside of the ball. I mean, there are all these different fruit nicknames in table tennis, right?
I'm not updated with all these names you're using, like strawberry, banana, and...
Well, banana's been around for a bit. In Japan, they even call it chiquita because of that. It's the backhand where you come in over the table on the forehand side and then come around the ball for side and topspin, which creates a shape like a banana. Or, you know, Gavin of Scotland said they call it the elephant in Scotland because it looks like an elephant's trunk, the motion. So, but chiquita is probably my favorite term for it. And I think strawberry refers to when you use the backhand and come around the outside of the ball to bend it wide to a right-handed player's forehand, if you're both right-handed.
Thank you for the clearance. I was familiar with the banana as a chiquita.
Yes.
But not with the strawberry.
I don't know what famous strawberry brands could be the new Japanese name for that shot. I am very impressed that Jian was able to get back in that point. I mean, she cross-stepped to get out of the way. Watch her right foot when the ball's played to the middle. It was a little earlier in the point, so you're not going to see it, but then stepped around to commit to that forehand. We see that from time to time, too. HIRANO dropping under the table. Usually after a point she's lost where maybe she wasn't happy about a decision that was made or felt that she had a good opportunity to win it. Not this time. One step to the left and off balance, and HIRANO's right at the back of the table to take it the opposite way. Jian had barely come down by the time HIRANO was contacting the next ball. I feel like peripheral vision is so important. Also understanding what's likely from your opponent. But when the body weight starts to move one way, take advantage quickly. This is another reason players have to be so fast, because if they move early to compensate, which is sort of a lazy decision, they're often going to get burned for it, right? They're committing to one side before they know where it's going to go, and then the player changes her mind.
Normally you have a tactic and you know what's coming, but sometimes the other does the opposite.
For example, that was perfect. Jian cross-stepped, the right foot came back behind, and she started to move to cover to the forehand side, and this ball is just perfect from HIRANO.
Looks like today I'm talking in advance. Every time I'm saying something, the next point shows.
Say something about a backhand roller around the net real quickly. Please. Say something about a lobbing counterattack from the backhand. We don't see HIRANO lobbing too much. Probably not in her best interest.
Are you aware with the term submarine?
Submarine, I'm going to say under the table side spin.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hadn't heard it before, but just, you know, submarines or underwater. Well, right now, Jian making quite a case for herself. Was down 1-4, now within 2. This is where confidence starts to evaporate a little bit for the player in the lead.
HIRANO is getting a little bit nervous, as I can see she's just touching her hair and trying to do things.
Right, these little quirks, these nervous tics that come out.
5, 6.
And that is someone who is not happy looking at the rubber, wondering, why didn't that go where I thought it would go? It's the third time we've seen her look at the equipment. We don't see players looking at the equipment too often. I mean, occasionally in really humid conditions, but players often are changing rubbers every day at tournaments. Oh, finally the shot that finishes the point. Again, there were about 3 balls that you could hear the crowd gasping on. And ZENG Jian gets that one back. HIRANO, that reminds me, Waldner hit a ball like that I think might have gone over the barriers, where you couldn't believe there was such confidence to play it to the forehand side.
At the Olympics, I think it was in Athens.
Is that 96? I think he won in 92, but yeah, maybe. Wow, and there's the firepower from both sides.
No, I meant in 2004 Olympics.
Oh, 2004, I'm sorry, yes, 2004, Athens, Greece, yes.
Against Rusuming, I think it was.
Oh, that was a different, that was the no-look shot that went,
Yeah.
That was amazing. That's still one of the most...
Oh, sorry, you talk about a different shot. I thought about that.
Yeah, Waldner's definitely had his share of tournaments to talk about. Always a spectacle, and a fascinating one at that. But right now, again, all eyes in the world on HIRANO, the hope for pretty much every country in the world outside of China. And she's 2 points away from moving on to the semifinals.
6, 9.
Well, at least there's the positive head shake back. I mean, we've seen her go through all ranges of emotion here. You know, we've seen frustration, we've seen sadness, we've seen disappointment to curiosity to disbelief. But she's back to the positive head shakes. When that first backhand comes back, it's rare. But HIRANO's gonna, I mean, it's just the faster it comes in, the faster it's going to come back. So she's gonna have to recover a little bit quicker. It's not the first time we've seen her redo her hair either. Now this could be, I mean, sometimes players, maybe without a timeout, need a little bit to stall where they can, and this is where umpires will step in and say, play please. From wiping the table to hopping around a bit. And then you have to imagine that's unintentional ball drop, right?
And it helped.
Yeah, I was just thinking, that being said, I've watched many Super League matches where HIRANO will really take her time at the table, bouncing the ball for a while. And this planning, it does seem to help. It's always to the advantage of the player to have preparation time, and now it's 3 match points for HIRANO. Service does it. The kicking serve with topspin, and she is going to be relieved to get out of this match. What a performance from ZENG Jian to get so many balls back on the table. I mean, this was really either player's match. There are the scores on screen. HIRANO continuing her streak. After last week, I think a lot of people, a lot of fans out there expect HIRANO to take this tournament, but it will not be easy. She moves on to the women's singles semifinals.
She proved once again she is a value player and her skills and qualities. And we're looking forward for the next match in semifinals. And definitely she will be also very followed in the World Championships in Düsseldorf.
That's right, a lot of people are going to be watching HIRANO as the great hope, the outsider, the dark knight, so to speak. Well, we'll see. You'll get to see her again later today in the semifinals. But coming up next will be an exciting one. It's Patrick Franziska of Germany versus Sweden's Christian Karlsson for the men's singles quarterfinals. Coming up just after this, you're watching the Seamaster 2017 Korea Open.